Here.
Mr. Steigel?
Here.
Mr. Lewis?
Here.
I don't believe Mr. Rouse is going to be here tonight.
Now let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of the meeting of July 10th, 2023.
So moved.
Second. Motion and second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. 5-0, Mr. Lauer. Next item, special reports. Do we have any?
No.
Okay, it's done. So we will move on to audience comments. This is the portion of the meeting where any member of the audience can speak for up to 5 minutes on a non-agenda item. Is there anyone who wishes to speak?
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'd just like to introduce myself. I'm Sandy Sabat. I've talked to a couple of you before when I was going around the room passing out my card and my pen. I'm running for Prothonotary in Washington County, and I would like to come to meetings like this and meet people and let them know that my intention is to serve with drive. And my slogan is on my card: dignity, respect, integrity, values, and ethics. And I think we need to have some changes made in our county government. And the first one that I'd like to be able to do is get in there and work with everyone, regardless of party. I think we have too much partisanship in the county, and we need to work together with everyone. So I just wanted to let you know that my philosophy is open communication and working with everyone to get the job done. The Prothonotary's job is not a political job. It is a job that is nonpartisan. It works with the courts, the attorneys, the general public, the judges. So I would like to do the job because I know that I'm the best qualified to handle the responsibilities in a responsible way. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Excellent.
Hi, my name is Dolores Patrica, and I live on Tanglewood Drive in the Township. And I have a unique situation. I have a backdoor neighbor that I have this situation with. We have big hemlock trees in the back of our yard, separating the two that were planted probably by the builder or the first owner. And there's one section where there are no trees. And I planted flowers and some taller pampas grass. And within the last year, maybe 2 years, the gentleman behind me built a shed right in that bare spot. And they have a pool back there, and they have a number of parties. And it was in May when I was sitting on my couch in my family room, which faces my backyard. Saw some movement back there, and I happened to look up, and the gentleman who lives there went and was standing right close to the shed, and he stood there for a while, and he stood there for a while, and then he walked away. And I thought that was strange because it looked like, he was doing something that I was surprised. And here I look closer, and there was something that looked like a urinal on the back of the shed, in full view of me and anybody who's in my house. The plants have grown taller so that you don't see it as easily from my yard, but from my house and from my deck, you can. I do have, if you haven't seen pictures.
This is the urinal we're speaking of.
There it is. And I had pictures.
It's like a champagne bucket. I don't know.
And I called Kristen in May when I saw this, and she came within a half an hour to my house. She couldn't get over it. She took pictures herself. She said that she would do something about it. She checked with the police. The police said it was not indecent exposure because they had their backs to me. And it wasn't public urination because it was in his property. So that was taken care of. And she didn't know what else to do except that maybe sanitation was involved. The pipe from it just seems to go into the ground. And so that could be an issue. But she has not done anything as of yet. I'm hoping, when I called, they had a party, not this past weekend before last. And, I was busy throughout the day, but I sat down for a couple minutes and saw two people going back there and urinating. in full view of me. And I'm 73, and I just don't feel that I should have to look at this from my yard. And I'm hoping that you will be able to do something about it.
Well, I certainly agree with you that that's unacceptable. Now, what's the mechanics of a protocol to remedy it?
That's what we were just talking about this. I think the first thing we ought to be doing is going to the Peters Township Sanitary Authority. You can't just discharge urine into the yard. It has to be treated. That would require them to be able to connect this to a sanitary line. I think this is such a bizarre thing. I don't know that the codes address this kind of thing. So, and the sanitary authority is going to have a problem with it, because even if you connected it in, what they will not allow you to do is to have something that captures rainwater, drops it into their system. So,
But wouldn't this also be a health code violation? I mean, obviously it's not hooked up to water, right? So there's nothing being flushed here. It's just,
right.
I would worry about insects and everything else.
Has anybody reached out to this homeowner?
I believe Kristen has. I'm not sure of that.
Well, the phone number we have on file is no longer valid. Our methods of communicating with them outside of a written letter are slim, and we have a written letter poised to go out to them. We've been talking about it here for these last couple of days, just trying to figure out our method here. But like Paul said, it's certainly a bizarre situation.
Well, and I mean, I'll come to you as an engineer here. It's a non-compliant device there. It's not properly connected into a sanitary sewer. It's not vented. There's no
Apparently there
discharge.
is one that runs.
What is that attached to? Is that a garage or a shed?
That's a shed. That's the shed that they built.
But did they get a permit when they built the shed?
I think I asked when I called initially, and they said, they looked it up and they said yes.
So what is that, just a pit there with the
I don't know. I
grating
can't.
over it,
I can't tell from the.
That's,
No,
I
those are
think it's
mats.
just mats for
That's
them to
just matting?
stand on,
Yeah,
Oh,
or-
yeah.
So we don't know where
in
that
case it
pipe's
gets
going.
too wet.
Just goes into the ground.
I can guarantee you it's not going into the sanitary line.
Because the
that
sewer
would
would be-
require
the
a
sanitary line.
permit from the sanitary authority, and there's no way they would give a permit for that.
Well, the sanitary sewer has to be in the backyard, right? Because it's because your
Supposedly.
backyard and
Yeah,
their backyard kind of come down like that.
Yeah,
Because
well,
they're on
yeah.
Hall,
There's no
right?
plumbing.
they're on
Well,
Hall.
I'm just saying, I mean, even if you could connect it to the sanitary sewer line, it doesn't change the fact that, I mean, Mrs.
Yeah.
Patrica shouldn't have to sit on her back porch and,
Absolutely.
I mean, if you wanted it that bad, why didn't you put it on the other side of the shed?
You're right.
It'd be closer to the pool, right?
Right,
Yeah.
yeah, it would be.
Well, because then you can see it from the pool,
And you don't want to do
What
that.
I'm saying is maybe if they just enclosed it, like a shower.
Well, see, that's just it. If they would put something up that I couldn't see. I don't want this to be something that catches on in Peters Township.
Let's hope not.
I'll guarantee you that will not happen.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to look into it and then we'll figure out what it is.
It's like that.
Anybody else want to speak? I doubt you're going to top that, but go ahead.
Not even close. Maureen Jones from East McMurray Road. I'm up here just to make a few comments about the amount of traffic on East McMurray Road now that the intersection of Valleybrook and Bebout is closed. Particularly at rush hour. And I'm not, first of all, I don't know how long that's going to be, that detour is going to be in effect. With school coming up in about 5 weeks, and the amount of traffic that's there at rush time, anybody trying to make a left turn at that intersection is jammed up, and that's putting it politely. Nobody gives anybody a break up there. Very few do, to make the left-hand
Excuse
turn.
me, I'm not here during the day, and you're saying left out of
Coming from
Bebout?
what?
Anyway, either way,
Left off of McMurray.
Yeah, on the Bebout or Thompsonville.
you
She's
could
talking
be
about
East
Bebout and
McMurray.
East McMurray.
Yes.
Yeah, you're
East
talking
McMurray.
on East McMurray, making a turn either onto Thompsonville or onto Bebout though, right?
Making a left-hand turn either way. If you're
Yeah.
westbound on East McMurray, you're making a left onto Bebout.
Right.
If you're coming up eastbound, you're making a left onto Thompsonville. But even people coming up from the side roads, that's getting a little dicey there, because people coming up Bebout really fly up and you can't see them in the intersection if you're coming up to Thompsonville. So there's been some close calls, particularly when I've seen it, because I always double check to make sure nobody's flying up that hill. But the point of what I'm making at is, when you're coming in the mornings with the amount of traffic that's going to be, and you're going to add school buses to that intersection, you might want to have a policeman doing some traffic control there, or is there any way you could put a delay or give, somebody the left-hand turn arrow either before or after the red for the other side? Because it's been backed up past the entrance to the Country Book heading up to St. David's, that's it.
It was almost there tonight, but I could.
Yeah.
So the contract PennDOT has with Foligno Construction, who's doing this, has a provision in it that requires them to examine the timing at that light. And so we've contacted them for that purpose. One of the things that I told Mr. Zamaitis is that's over a week ago. If we don't soon hear from them, we'll take out our traffic engineer and our the people who maintain that light and make changes to that.
I do have an
timing.
update for you, Paul.
Go.
I got an email today. Our signal maintenance contractor is going to go out tomorrow and give more green time in the mornings to the Bebout Thompsonville phase and more green time in the afternoon to the East McMurray phase. Obviously, that seems to be, from what Paul and I have observed, the backups in the morning and the afternoon. I mean, that will help a little bit. We can't do anything about the arrows because there are no arrows on the signals. But I think giving more green time to the appropriate movement in the afternoon and the morning will help somewhat.
What is the timeline? How long is that intersection going to be closed?
The entire project is right now scheduled to be completed by December. But what happens, there are 4 different detours that are involved. So at some point, long before we get to December, the roundabout will actually be open so that you can come down Valleybrook Road, and at that point in time, there'll be work done on Bebout Road. So this project's going to last the remainder of the year.
Okay.
And we have, one of the things that to PennDOT's credit, they have had the school district involved in the discussions with regard to this. Tracy, who handles transportation for them, is well aware of what's going on.
Okay.
So.
But as I said, I've noticed in particular, it seems to be building up more and more. Of course, there's more traffic on that road because of all that. But again, I noticed the time coming up from the side streets, Bebout and Thompsonville, has been extended. But you still have a large backup either on East McMurray in either direction or all the way down on Bebout.
There's been no change to the timing yet, and so that will, Mark's telling me it's going to occur tomorrow.
I think tomorrow it's going to occur.
So.
Okay.
So
All
I
right.
know of one significant accident there on July 11th. Have there been any others, or just that? I mean, that's enough, but...
Yeah, I guess that's the only one I know of.
Another area
Thank
of concern in that project is on Bebout, right at Valleybrook, the way that they had cut out the right-hand side of, if you're going toward McMurray. It's all gravel there, drops off. I think it's just a matter of time before somebody loses control on that, or they're cutting into the opposite lane to avoid it completely.
But my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mark, I think they have a responsibility to patch that beyond which, that having stone sitting there. So I don't know when that's going to occur, but.
Paul, have we heard anything from the school district? Are they going to attempt to use Orchard Highlands as a means to access McMurray Elementary this year?
They have not asked for that.
I'm just curious whether we need to be prepared for that storm next month.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else from the audience wish to speak?
Actually, that would be a better alternative than, I know, but I mean, for the interim.
Name's Joe Delicia. I live on Manor Way. First thing about the urinal situation. I could foresee, you're talking about connecting to the sewage system, and I could see if this individual wants to be really crazy about it, he could tap it into his home system and put a roof over the top of it so no rainwater gets in it. But looking at Pennsylvania law, they cite a public urination all the time. In the way it's written, I believe in the Pennsylvania law, and I may be wrong on this, that urination in any place open to public or exposed to public view. This would be the same an officer seeing someone behind a Walmart or something like that urinating. It's exposed to public view. So that's a citation, should be issued. I don't understand why Peters Township Police didn't issue this.
Well, I can tell you, I made that argument in city court in Pittsburgh that, well, he was behind the dumpster in South Side, and, you know, he didn't, no one could see him, and they don't buy that. So, you know, I think it just depends on the discretion of the police
officer. Okay, but I'm just...
But I agree with you. I mean, I haven't looked at that statute in a while, but if that's what it says you say, I would think that would be a basis.
Right. In case he decides to hook it into his indoor plumbing or whatever.
He would be a nice guy and just
put up lights and everything else, who knows what.
Without a lot of inconvenience to everyone here.
Okay, now one other issue is I don't know if you were aware that maybe last week or week before there was a water main break on Locust, on the hill going down Locust.
Oh, I didn't know that.
We were going to talk about it tonight.
There was a pretty major water break there, and the road is pretty tore up. Probably 1/3 of Locust, the hill, because it happened almost at the top of the hill, and it goes into part of Beacon Way.
Okay.
Now, they have a machine over there today, looks like they're getting ready to tear off some asphalt. So I don't know if Mr. Devitis, maybe you've been over there and looked at it?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
but Beacon Way is all rippled up, too.
Yeah, they were going to mill about, I don't know, maybe 100 feet of Beacon Way out as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. That's all I have.
But the important point about this is, and this gets back to the discussion about the connection to Manor Way, when that water line break occurred, it would have been difficult to get emergency vehicles down below where that break occurred, based upon the work that was being done to repair the break. And this is this problem we're only having one way in and one way out.
I went right by there when they were working on it. They had lights set up all night long and everything there.
And then they're gonna build this road and pave it, and it will be an impediment on the road. So,
Anybody else wish to speak? Seeing no one, we will move into unfinished business, of which there is none, so we'll move into new business. First item, approval for recording purposes of the Thomas A. Robinson FLP Camp Lane Plan Number 1, as shown on drawings prepared by the Keystone Surveying and Mapping, Inc., dated August 19, 2022, for Thomas A. Robinson Family Limited Partnership.
so the limited partnership owns 1.5 acre parcel on Camp Lane. What they're intending on doing is dividing the parcel into two properties, one of which will be 7/10 of an acre and the other one which will be nearly 8/10 of an acre. The lots conform to the township's dimensional requirements, and it's going to be my recommendation that council approve the subdivision as shown on the drawings prepared by Keystone Surveying dated August 19, 2022.
I'll make a motion approved for recording purposes the Thomas A. Robinson FLP Camp Lane Plan Number 1 as shown in drawings prepared by Keystone Surveying and Mapping, Inc., dated August 19, 2022, for the Thomas A. Robinson Family Limited Partnership.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
I have a question. So, what's the purpose of doing that? Do you know? I mean, it's already one lot, right?
It's one lot now. I think the primary driving focus is to get those two buildings on separate tax bills.
Really?
I think.
Okay. All right, motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. 5-0, Mr. Lauer. Next item, authorization of the purchase of a parcel located along Valleybrook Road through the Washington Tax Claim Bureau repository sale.
So the Tax Claim Bureau is responsible for collecting delinquent property taxes for the county, the school districts, and municipalities. When a property passes through the normal tax claim sale, it's transferred to a repository sale. There is a small tract of land that we were notified that is immediately adjacent to property the township owns. This is in the vicinity of Palapets Drive. And so this piece of property is available for the township to purchase. We've had what's the word?
Appraiser?
Right. No.
Title search, yeah, sorry.
And it's free and clear of any
If it's
liens.
in the repository, it should be.
And so therefore, we're suggesting that it can be purchased by the township for $235.25. I think it makes sense for us to own it. It's up against Valleybrook Road. It's against the property we already own on Palabitz Drive.
I'll make a motion that we authorize the purchase of the parcel in question from the Washington County Tax Claim Bureau, bearing parcel number 540-007-1005-0001002.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. 5-0, Mr. Lauer. Next item, award of a contract for solid waste collection and disposal commencing January 1st, 2024 until December 31st, 2028.
So in the manager's report is a listing of the relevant portions of the bid tabulation for solid waste services as bid by the South Hills Area Council of Government. There were only two bidders, Waste Management and Westmart Landscape Supply. Clearly for automated collection, which we do, Waste Management is the low bidder. What's shown on the board is an idea of what the comparison of what we're paying now to what we'll be paying in the next 5 years. As you can see, there's a substantial increase next year, and at a future date, we want to have a discussion with council about how it is we want to go about financing this cost, whether we're going to continue to do it with a charge for service that is billed to each individual resident, or whether it makes sense at this point in time to incorporate it into the property tax. But irregardless of that, we need to award a contract for this service, and it's my recommendation that we award a contract to Waste Management.
And I have had a couple of conversations with Paul, and I think there's some points that we need to explain to the public. One, as I understood your information, we will each be limited to a single container.
A single container for garbage, a single container for recycling. And if you need an additional container, Waste Management will provide that. Each additional container will cost $100 a year.
How are oversized items handled?
Once a month on a week of our choosing, they will pick up 2 items.
Like a refrigerator?
Refrigerator,
couch.
Couch, yeah.
2 items per house.
Yes.
Yes.
2 items isn't going to go too far.
Okay, but your caution there would be with something with Freon in it or whatever it's called, it has to all be tagged.
It has to be all taken out and has to be tagged to show that that's occurred.
But yard waste and things like that would all have to be within those
In that
containers.
container.
No more bags being picked up.
No more bags are being picked up. The idea is to make it truly an automated collection, and the only way to do that and keep the guy from having to get out of the truck is to have things in carts. And so this is what they're doing. Anybody who has Waste Management in the South Hills, this will be the way that it'll occur.
Now, what changes with recycling? Because I also understood that they were going to pick up glass.
The glass is going to be back in the mix, and it can be recycled at the curb.
Is that in effect now, or do we have to wait until January 1st?
I think if you can put it in now, because I think that it's being processed down at Neville Island at this point.
Then there'll be no more just number 1 and 2 plastics. It'll be all plastics now.
It'll be 1 and 2 plastics, that's all.
Oh, still. So you still have to read the labels on the plastics.
Yeah, because those are the only plastics that are recyclable as 1s and 2s.
What about charges for like going in the back to get the garbage cans?
And again, that's one of there is a provision for that. It is increased substantially over where it was. When the township chose to offer that service, it did so with the idea that this would be for older people or people with disabilities. The fact of the matter is, only about, I think it's 33 people currently have backyard service. I think one of the things we want to discuss with you is whether we want to continue to do that. If you recollect, 5 years ago, we decided not to do it for recycling because it became a real service problem in terms of those pickups and them being missed. I don't know whether it makes any sense to continue that service.
So are we all getting new cans then too, as part of this?
Well, we're going to talk about that again as part of after this. If we're to purchase the recycling containers, the majority of them in town are 10 years old, and that's the length of the warranty on them. And what we're seeing is a lot of failures on lids and wheels, and so the amount of time being spent repairing those is increased significantly. The question is, do you want to replace them all? And if you want to replace them all, is that something that the township wants to assume the cost for, or do you want to transfer that cost on to as part of the rate if in fact we continue to bill people?
Well, the actual purchase was done with the anticipation and the success of a grant.
Yeah. Well, they were, and this time around, we estimate it's what, 550,000?
520. It was 518, I think, is what it was.
And the grant's going to be limited to $350,000. So there's a significant cost that someone's going to have to pick up. But that discussion is separate from this because it's a discussion that I think involves what we're doing with billing or how we're paying for this service. So.
But the garbage cans would still be the same size.
The garbage, yes.
And the recycling cans, yes. So they wouldn't be getting bigger or smaller or anything.
No.
Okay.
And within this package, there's no option of letting waste management do the billing?
There is, but their price for billing is exorbitant and it doesn't make sense. One of the things that we wanted to, again, discuss with you at a later date is if we do billing, do we want to continue with Jordan Tax Service? We've asked them to look at, they charge us a percentage of the amount of money that's being collected. It's 1.8% right now. Ryan and I met with them this week to explain to them with the fee going up 27%, that doesn't mean that their fee is going to go up 27%. So they're going to revisit what that percentage is. We've also been approached by the Sanitary Authority. They have an interest in doing the billing for us. Their rate is higher, but there are some advantages maybe to using them. And again, we want to have a long discussion about whether or not it makes sense to incorporate this into the property tax. And without going into great detail about it, the fact of the matter is, if you were to incorporate this into the property tax for the majority of people in town, what they would pay in property tax would be substantially, for this service, would be substantially less than what they're going to get billed. Between the discounts we offer and the collection over the length of this 5-year contract, you're spending about $700,000 in this as a result of this billing service. The other thing is for people who itemize their taxes, you can't itemize this fee for service. You can itemize that tax bill. But the challenge gets to be, it is a very significant increase in taxes. The other thing it does is it transfers some of the burden away from residences because the tax applies to commercial properties as well. And it's always been my contention, and I think it was the contention of Mike Silvestri, that if you look at what businesses in Peters Township pay in taxes, it doesn't cover the cost of the services that the municipality provides them. So, but that's a discussion for another day.
With limiting it to one can, is there any option for having like a dumpster somewhere for people have clean out their garage one day or something? Like, you're gonna have more than one can of garbage, so having a dumpster at Public Works so people can come and unload extra garbage.
If you did that, you be a disaster. Even as it is, that's a problem because everybody puts stuff in the dumpster. The fact of the matter is, there are things like Bagster that's out there where you can have a one-time pickup that Waste Management does, and they do that anywhere.
Well, I mean, it could be regulated with having that dumpster. Like, it's just not an open, like, I was just on vacation in Hilton Head, and we had to deliver the garbage, and we had our barcode sheet. It was Waste Management. So it's just, It was very interesting.
Oh, it's possible. I mean, there's a fee to have that dumpster there, but it's possible to do. I just think there are other private services out there to handle that kind of thing right now.
Well, I know that we bid this as part of Shaycock, so there's like, what, 20-something?
20 municipalities.
You know, and I know I brought it up a while ago about would we get more bidders, and could we get a better price if we bid it outside of Shaycock? And we can't do that because we agreed to do it this way. But I mean, is there any municipalities around here in Washington County that bid their own, and what kind of price are they getting for this type of service? Because I think it makes a difference, because if it's going to be cheaper, then you may not have to. We still could do what you want to do for whatever with taxing, but the whole thing is that why are we not looking for a solution to keep it as low as possible, as opposed to just saying we're just gonna eat this what is that, 27% increase, and
and we can check with our neighbors as to what they're paying, but these type of increases that you're seeing here, you're seeing across the region. When the North Hills bid this, you saw these same kind of increases. One of the other problems in southwestern Pennsylvania is you have two bidders here. These are the only two companies right now that are actually doing this type of work, and that's why there may be a couple smaller ones out there, but I don't know of anybody who's doing municipal contracts other than these two right now. So,
all right. Does anyone want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion. Peters Township awards contract waste management for solid waste collection, removal, and disposal services commencing January 1st, 2024 through December 31st, 2028, in accordance with a bid waste management submitted to Shaycock.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay.
I'm a reluctant aye, because I
think all of us are.
Yeah.
I'm an aye, but I wouldn't. If we had another option, I probably wouldn't be.
I agree.
5-0, Mr. Lauer. Payroll and bills, Dr. Perosco.
I have reviewed payrolls and bills there in good standing order. Make a motion to approve.
Second. Motion and second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. 5-0, Mr. Lauer. Any correspondence, Mr. Lauer? Anybody want to discuss any of the various commission, committee, meeting minutes? No. Miscellaneous, Federal Appeals Court decision regarding cell phone towers.
you want to discuss that, or I can? I mean,
go ahead.
Well, in your docket, what you see is a decision from the Third Circuit Court, which reinforces what we've been telling council. Our authority with regard to cell towers as a municipality is very limited, and what the Third Court speak to is just that local zoning laws with regard to the erection of these towers are superseded by the regulations, the Act and the federal regulations related to cell towers. So.
Okay, anything else under miscellaneous?
Yeah, actually, I got a couple.
Mr. Lewis had a question.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see you, Bob. Sorry.
That's all right. I'm way over here. Earlier last week, that's somewhat of an oxymoron. There was a gas line that was dug up. Is that what I understood?
As part of the roundabout project, they hit a gas line, and and then that closed the road down for a period of time. That there was a repair made, and so.
Okay, thank you. You're first.
Go ahead, Mr. Lauer.
One of the things about Peters Township is when faced with some challenges, Peters Township residents always seem to rise to that. As everybody knows, it's kind of a tragic situation involving Jen Pardini. In addition to a online fundraiser, Jen worked at and I think she still works at the Fireside Beauty Bar. that's located down on Venetia Road. And they want to do a fundraiser to assist Jen with her expenses. And what they had in mind is to have live music, to have food trucks, baked goods sale, local brewery, kids activities, and things like that. And they wanted to do this on the property. The beauty salon is located on the property where the post office is on Venetia Road. And if you're familiar with that site at all, that site is very small. The owner contacted Chief Grimes, and Chief Grimes and I went down to meet with her to talk about this, because she had concern about being able to get this onto her site and being able to doing it safely. We had suggested to her, and council needs to tell me whether you concur, is that a better site to handle this might be the parking areas that surround the ball fields, as well as the grass areas on either side of those parking areas. Baseball Association does not have anything on this particular date, and the Park and Rec Board looked at this, and they're in favor of allowing it to occur there, including one of the local breweries is going to be serving beer, and they're going to be licensed to be able to do it at the site. I just wanted to make sure that council was okay with that before we move forward with it. It's a good cause, and like I say, I just think it's one more time when the community has come together to help somebody who needs it. So.
Well, why don't we just, what about the amphitheater? I mean, why can't they just go to the park and use the amphitheater?
Oh no, it's going to be serving food. It's going to be games. It's going to be face painting. It's like they actually went out and saw this site, and
they're okay with it.
Oh, they're more than okay with it.
And there's enough parking there?
Yeah. Well, you've got this parking, and if by some chance, and hopefully they do, they need additional parking, it's right across the street at the rec center. So, with your concurrence, I'm going to
I'm in favor of it.
Absolutely.
Okay. Absolutely. The other thing, just to point out a couple of things that's been happening. The library always amazed me with their programs. Last week was tie-dye church. Over 400 individuals were there, the tie-dye shirts. They've actually ran out of dye by the end of the day, but it was a tremendously well-received program. I saw Lacey a couple days later, and Lacey's hands still were tie-dye. Last Friday was a day to recognize professional Park and Rec employees. The Pennsylvania Park and Rec Society chose 3 municipalities as spotlight communities, and to recognize, and Peters Township was one of those. And this is a representative from the Park and Rec Society making the presentation to Michelle. The one thing, the day or two before this, Michelle has notified us that she will be leaving us. She's taking a job in Ohio, which is closer to her family. But the thing that I've told you before that I truly mean is that what Michelle has been able to do for us over that last 17 years is really kind of remarkable. And the type of programming, the quality of that programming is a direct reflection of her leadership. And that's true from, designing playgrounds to the Princess Ball. The other thing that Michelle's done during her tenure here is because she is recognized within the Department of Community and Natural Resources, the township's been the beneficiary of that relationship and has received a lot of grants as a result of that. And so she's going to be sorely missed, and she's going to be difficult to replace. We're going to begin that process, and hopefully within a short period of time we can find candidates that can help us. The other one that I wanted to point out to you, this photo shows up on the Peters Township Police Department Facebook page. One of the things that Chief Grimes is always telling his officers is to reach out to the community and go to things like ball games, and he always throws in the one and stop and get a lemonade at a lemonade stand. Officer Merrick stopped to get a lemonade at a lemonade stand, and the little boy invited her to his birthday party. And so Officer Merrick was the honored guest. Instead of pin the tail on the donkey, it was pin the badge on the officer. And so I give Officer Merrick a lot of credit, and this is certainly a reflection of what Doug encourages all of his officers to do. Doug has informed council that he intends in January to move on. He'll be retiring. I now have that officially from Chief Grimes, so at some point in the future I'm going to invite both Michelle and Chief Grimes to come in and talk to council about their experience here. So we posted that job as of today for internal candidates, and our goal is in the next couple of weeks to accept applications and begin the process of finding an internal candidate to fill Doug's position. So
That it, Mr. Lauer?
that's it.
Okay. Anybody got anything they want to see on the next agenda? Anybody got anything for the good of the order? We have an executive session.
Short one.
We're adjourned.